time, I'm going to prepare another protein, which is tempeh, which is an Indonesian soy product. Well, this is not made in Indonesia, it's made in Germany, but it's very common in Indonesian cuisine. And has a slight different flavor to tofu. Some people prefer it, some people like it less than tofu, some people prefer this over it, and some people can't stand it. And I can't explain either of these reasons to why, but that is. Now it comes in this is widely available in large chains of health food shops that are available in Ireland. So this is where I purchased this one. There's several of them in city centre. Now it comes in a different shape than the one I'm used to, so it comes in a sausage shape. So I'm just going to cut it in half and then cut them into half moons. And then I am going to prepare another marinade to do this and cook it like I cooked the tofu in the oven. And it's very quick. So ginger. Garlic. Again, as I said, I can't decide how much garlic you like. That's your own decision to make. I'm just adding this straight on top of the tempeh. Then I'm going to add, again, a splash of tamari, splash of oil. And when I say a splash, it's, sure, I know I'm measuring this. I measure things like this every day, but it's about a tablespoon. Maybe a little bit less of oil, a little bit more of the tamari for the flavor. Same with the sweetener, even a teaspoon is probably going to be enough. It's just to balance the salt. The sweetener is really only there to balance the saltiness a little bit because it will make it more enjoyable to eat. When I went to culinary school, I worked with an old chef who had been a chef for way too long. That was good for him, but he added sugar to everything. A pinch of sugar in everything that he ever cooked, and it always tasted lovely. And that was always his trick, was a pinch of sweetener in everything. Possibly a little bit more tamari in this, since the pieces are a little bit bigger. And with this, I am going to use the same tray as I cooked the tofu on. I'm just going to take this off, and it's for pure convenience. I would have done the same at home. There's no point in making more dishes for yourself when you don't have to. These follow the exact same dietary concerns, so there's no issue with that. They're both soy-based products. They both have tamari in them. They both have ginger, garlic, and so on. So there's no... And again, it's already cooked. It's ready to eat. You could fry it straight in the wok. I just like doing this. It will give it a little bit more flavor. Some people could say it'll make it maybe a little bit meatier, which it's actually something we strive after in vegetarian cooking, is to copy the consistency and these flavors. So I'm going to put that into the oven, and it's going to be ready about the same, probably a little bit before the cake is. Now I am going to cook off the noodles we're using. As I said, I'm using a brown rice wakame noodle. I bought this in one of the major health food shops that are as a chain, widely available. They're not always the cheapest, but they do taste very nice. And I have used these at home, even though I am not I have no issues with eating wheat normally, because I like the flavor of them. In general, a lot of people do like the Japanese style soba noodles, which is an imitation of, which they're not. So I'm going to just add 2 bunches of this in. And I'm breaking them in half just so that they cook better. They don't only take about 4 minutes. I like to keep them al dente or with a bite in them because you're going to add more liquids on top of them, which is going to steam through quickly when you stir frying them anyway. So if they're a little bit undercooked before they get added into the stir fry, that is fine. Now that is going to cook for a minute. In the meantime, I am going to prepare a little bit more ginger and garlic for the actual stir fry in the wok. And the main reason for that is because I really like ginger. And particularly in the wintertime, I think a good dose of ginger in your food on occasions, if you have a blocked sinuses or whatever, I think it can help clearing these up. And in general, ginger is a very nice flavor. I have in the past used these ginger graters. I have to admit, I don't like them. I think they're more of a mess than actually, and you get very little ginger that you can use out of it. So I prefer to hand cut it. In work, often what we do is we blend it with, you can put the liquids together as like in the marinade and blend it all together with a handheld blender, and it will come up in a smaller piece and the flavors might come out a little bit more. They should be ready any second now. Yeah, we're going to take them out. So we're going to do the same again. Prepare some cold water. I've even done this at home when I had only one ring working on the cooker on a disastrous day when I half an hour after I had called in to buy a new one, and I actually soaked them in boiling water from the kettle, and it worked as well. But it wouldn't be the correct way of doing things, as my teacher in culinary school would have told me, but it does work. I've even been known to, when I have no noodles at home and I'm still making a stir fry, I have put in spaghetti. So, well, I mean, when you have children at home and you have a dinner to make, and they're not going to be particularly listening to your apologies about why you didn't buy these in the shop, well, then you do what you have to do. So, necessity is the mother of invention. So now they have been cooled down. The risk of these sticking is very low because they contain no gluten. So that's what makes them stick in a normal. And now I am going to go and take my tempeh out of the oven because that is now ready. Now I'm going to have to let this heat up for another while again because, as I said, what's of essence when you stir frying is to have a proper hot wok. It's a common misconception even is that food burns because in a frying pan or whatever because it's too hot. No, it burns because it's too cold. That's, you know, when you're frying a steak or something like that, as far as I'm concerned, you cannot have it hot enough. I like to leave mine things on the gas for a good 10 minutes just to heat up properly. And it will cook a lot faster. It will seal it. So in the meantime, I am going to prepare some more garlic. In this one, I'm going to put a pinch of chili, just so if you don't like chili, please be aware. On the other hand, I am not putting any ginger into this one instead, apart from what's already in that is cooked with the tempeh. And these brownies, they made loads, so please don't be shy. You have to, by all means. And with chili, there's many ways of preparing this. Now, I'm going to finely dice it like I do with the garlic. A lot of other people enjoy really thin rings. I think this might even come up from that camera beyond these things, but thin rings, like so, instead if you want. But that's just mainly a look preference, and yeah, that's really all that it is. I prefer smaller bits of chili so you don't get the intense fire, which I don't. I like the taste, I like the flavor of chili, but I don't like the heat too much myself, because it can be a bit overpowering. It can kill the flavors that you're already eating, and we all know, I mean, it's an individual preference on what you like with this. So I'm finely dicing this like I did with the garlic and I did with the ginger earlier. And I'm doing the same with the garlic again. Very quick, very simple, and it's the way I like to keep my cooking at home. Because after I spend hours and hours sweating in a kitchen all day, the last thing I really want to do is to take a long time cooking dinner at home. And it's not that, you know, people often say, well, it's a busman's holiday. My wife, of course, cooks sometimes. But what takes her 40 minutes to make at home takes me 25. And it's pure economics of that. And it's because we all know there's homework that needs to be done there is, with children. There is things. And then when all of these things are done, you want to play with them. You want to spend some quality time. And when all of that is done, you also want to sit down, have a cup of tea, and maybe watch a bit of TV before you go to bed yourself. So it's pure, that's the main reason. It's pure economics in the household of time management. Also for garnishes for these things, I didn't this time because I have coriander here. You finely chop this, put on top. Now it's a very common digestive discomfort from coriander, so I'm not doing it here because it's not, again, with vegetarian food we get a lot of onion, garlic, and coriander. It's probably the three most common reasons of what people, they don't want that. So that's why I'm not doing that here. But again, this is an Irish brand. It's grown now, I can't remember if it's in, yes, it's in Rush. I wasn't sure if it was in Rush or Lost, but it's in Rush. It's Irish grown, very good quality, widely available in shops. Garden of Eden herbs. Sometimes they do import in order to meet demand, but mainly over 80% I've been told from their representative of their herbs are grown in Ireland in their own greenhouse, which is a great thing, because why should we be importing things from halfway around the world when we can grow it ourselves? Of carbon footprint and Irish jobs, which is a great thing of both of them. So, handful of mushrooms, handful of carrots. Let that cook for a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to be doing some tidying, because that's what we all, when people talk about this in kitchens, you spend actually half your time tidying up your own mess. So it's not as glamorous as people like to think it is. I'm not Gordon Ramsay. I don't have 40 people working for me. So, I've got two great ones here, but they're here on a voluntary basis, so they don't actually work for me. At this stage, I'm going to add some peppers into the second stir fry. And then I'm going to add the chili and garlic. Yeah. I might not have made quite enough there, but there is another one coming, so if you don't get any this time, you will get some of the next. Make a little bit more this time as well. Let this cook for another minute or so before I am going to add the green vegetables. So now is a good time for me to add the tempeh into this. With the juices and everything that has come out of it, it'll be great. It will all add flavor in the end. Now they did stick a little bit, these noodles, as I said that they wouldn't. They did stick a little bit anyway, but a splash of water, a dash of oil, and you can actually sort that out. Now I'm going to add the green vegetables to this. Like so. Let this cook for another minute or so before I'm going to add again a splash of tamari and a splash of apple juice concentrate. Now, if you don't have any apple juice concentrate at home, I understand that's not something that we buy it in by the gallons, by the 5 gallons a week or so in Cornucopia, which is very different to what you keep at home. You might have some agave nectar at home. You might have some maple syrup, which is a non-sugar sweetener. When I say no sugar, naturally they contain fructose, but there's no sucrose added to this, which is the sugar that you would say when you say sugar. That's what people mean. Of course, pretty much any vegetable contains an amount of sugar. Otherwise, it's very difficult to make complete sugar-free food of any way, shape, or form. So a splash of apple juice concentrate, like so. Dash of tamari, and then that is pretty much ready. Just going to add the noodles to it, and it's going to be ready in about 2 minutes. Now, as I was saying as well, and this is a personal preference, I like getting my carbohydrates mainly from vegetables. So the amount of noodles that you add to this is to a personal preference. You don't have to add loads if you have more vegetables in it instead. It's all about getting a right amount that's right for the amount of people that you're preparing food for, and so on. And I broke the noodles in half, if you saw, as I was adding them into the boiling water. One reason being, I can find it quite hard to mix the noodles well into the stir fry otherwise, because it tends to just be one blob of vegetables and one blob, and it doesn't appear as nicely mixed as it does when you see it on TV when someone else is making. And I have the same issue with that, so it's not just, happens to all of us. I'm just going to see this myself, since I didn't actually taste the other one. I hope it was all right. I didn't actually get to taste it myself, so we'll see how this. Oh, yeah. That is definitely ready to serve. I can taste the ginger, I can taste a bit of garlic, and I can definitely taste a little bit of chili. Now, I'm very sensitive to chili. I have friends that can eat them whole, raw, and have no issues with that. But if you really like chili, of course, these are quite mild red chilies. Fallen and Burn, a shop in town, carries a great variety of different types of chilies. You have Bird's Eye and chilies and so on, which are well known to be a lot hotter than these are. So if you really like to join the competition of who can make the hottest stir fry or the hottest curry, that's a great place to go looking for really hot chilies. And that is everything so far. We're going to serve this out again. It's going to be garnished with a bit of pumpkin seeds and a few scallions on the top. And if you didn't get any of the last one, please come up first now, and we'll serve it out from here again.
If anybody didn't get the recipes, they can come and give me their email, and I'll email it to them on Tuesday.
And Sammy also here said, if you didn't get the little recipe handouts and so on that we had, please come by the stall, leave your email address if you have one, and we will send them back to you on Tuesday. So that is everything from me today, and thank you very much for coming here and listening, and I hope everything was all right for you. Thank you.